Hello, I'm Jazz Trombone 4, and it's late at night, so I decided to make a video about my board game collection and just all the board games I have. This is a bit different of a video than I normally make. I normally just upload my video games that I stream or play with my friends, as well as my D&D content that I have with my sisters. But I was like, you know what? What the heck? Why not go through each of my board games and give a little spiel of why I have them, and do like a little random scale of whatever I come up with in the moment about them. This is by no means like any good review of it. It's just more of going through my collection, which a lot of these games haven't been played in a while. Some of the games I'm not going to go through, which I don't even think are on this shelf anywhere, are all the Risk games I have. Because I've got about 9 different copies of Risk. Because when I was a kid, I loved Risk, as well as I ended up making a big, huge board game out of it that I called Ultimate Risk, which would take about, I don't know, like 10 to 12 hours to play, and required at least 8 to, I don't know, I think the max I had was 14 players, which, you know, it's a great game, and maybe I'll make a video on that in the future, as well as the new edition of it I'm making right now, or trying to. But right now I'm just going to kind of go through everything that I have and kind of see what I got. But let's move to the table where I can just show off the game and talk a little bit about it. So now we're at the table, and I apologize if the lighting's bad or if you hear some loud noise in the back. It's probably my AC. As well as, you know, this is my first time doing it. I'm trying to branch out and try to make different videos. But the first game I got here is Forbidden Desert. It was just the top on my shelf. All these games are going to be in no particular order, but Forbidden Desert's a fun little cooperative game where you're trekking around a desert, some fun tiles, trying to find all the pieces to an airship and escape altogether. I'm pretty sure a lot of times that we play this, I house rule a lot of things. I haven't played this game in a while just because my friends have gotten a bit bored of it, because it is a pretty simple game, but I've always really liked it because it's just good, simple cooperative fun. I also have a lot of fun with this with players who aren't as big into board games. Like, they know how to play some board games, they're not opposed to it, but they just want something easy. So I always really like this. If I had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it like a 6. It's a good board game, but it's nothing crazy. But I always have a little bit of fun with it. The next game I have is Wormholes. Marissa got this game for me not too long ago. We played it a few times, and I actually really enjoy it. We've played it with a few different friend groups, some people who aren't as into board games as I am. And Marissa's not as into board games as I am, but she actually quite enjoys this game. We've played it, like I said, a few times. As far as games go, it's pretty simple. You just try to drop off passengers that you get off random cards, different planets, as well as there's fun little things that the board can do. The main gimmick is you drop wormholes that then you or anybody else can cross through, which makes the board kind of become a little bit smaller, or you can get some fun combos, just kind of warping around through everybody's wormholes. But as a game, I'd probably rate it right now as a 7.5 out of 10, just because I do want to keep playing it, and I do have a lot of fun with it. So the next game I have is Smash Up. I've had this game for quite a while. It hasn't seen as much play anymore. It kind of just sits on my shelf now. But when I first got it, I played the crap out of this. Me and a buddy and his brother would play this all the time. It's a really fun game where you get to pick a couple of factions, and which are represented by some decks of cards that you then shuffle together, and then that's what you have to then see who is the most dominant. By taking over little territories that are on there, and whoever has the most at the end kind of wins. I can't remember exactly how it goes because I haven't played it in forever. I do have an expansion for it. I don't remember which one, but I do have one, and I really enjoy this game, and I wanted to play it more. I just don't really have a group to play it with anymore, which is a shame, so it mainly just sits on my shelf, but I'm hoping to get some more play out of it. If I were to rate this game out of a scale of 10, I'd probably give it around 7. Most of my games I give around a 7. That's why I still have them. Just because 7 I feel like is a number where, like, I want to keep playing it, but I might not be able to for some reasons. But yeah, no, Smash Up. It's a pretty good game. So the next game I have is Everdell. I don't have any expansions for this. I only have the base game. This was got for me by my sister for one of my birthdays, and I don't play this game enough. I've probably only played it like 4 or 5 times. Which I'm really sad about because I really, really love this worker placement game with the cool building a town kind of with cards mechanic to it. But yeah, no, I don't play this game enough. I don't really have a group to play it with because the group that I normally play bigger board games with, I don't live near anymore, unfortunately, and I haven't really found a group over here yet that really likes board games like I do. But Everdell, I'd actually probably rate like an 8.5 out of 10 just because I really enjoy the art style and I really enjoy the mechanics. I just really need to play it more. The next game I have here is Photosynthesis. This game actually gets quite a bit of play. I really enjoy this game, and Marissa does as well. Fun story, when I first got introduced to this game is when I first joined college and started going to college, I was in the science college, which is the nerd college, going for any of the science fields. And I was walking through the halls one day, and I peered into a office where there were some of the professors there, and they were actually playing this game. I think one of them was a plant biologist and whatever, and I watched them play it for a bit, and I was like, man, I wonder what that game is, because I've got no idea. And then later I was able to find out, and then like a year later I found a copy of it on Facebook Marketplace for like $10, and I was like, you know what? I really think that concept is pretty cool, so I'm gonna go pick it up. So I got this game for actually $10, which is a great deal. But it's a fun game where it's kind of like a board control game. I don't really know, how to designate games. That's not really my specialty. But it's a fun game where you're planting trees, and there's some advanced rules that are just a little bit tougher, which normally we play with just because it makes the game a little more tense and fun. But I always found it as a pretty simple game. I'd actually rate this one like a 9 out of 10, just because I really love the theming, especially because when I was in college, I was a plant bio major before I switched to HPS, which is History, Philosophy, and Sociology of Science, which is a crazy field. But no, I actually really enjoy this game. I still enjoy this game, and the more I play it, it's always good. Up next, we got Tang Garden. This is another game that gets a lot of play, more play than most of the other board games in my collection, just because Marissa really likes it. We got this off of a used rack at a board game store for a pretty good deal. I think it was only like $30 or $35, which is a good deal for this game. I really enjoy it. It's a fun little... the back of the box isn't super easy to see, but it's a fun little tile laying game where you're trying to build a garden, which is not really cooperative because you're all trying to make the most money, and you have some cool little powers that you can get, as well as it has a fun little set collection thing. But yeah, no, I really enjoy this game. I think the fun of placing decorations onto the board or placing a tile on the board is really cool, kind of building out the garden. I think it's got some nice little tension in it with if you happen to get a piece in a spot where somebody else wanted it, or you happen to get a decoration somebody else wanted, or one of the other few things of this game. But I would give this game about a 9 out of 10, just because it's a fun game that comes to the table often. It's not too hard. I've had a lot of people who don't know board games pick this up, and after like a round or two, they understand what they're doing. Which what I like about this game is for the first couple of rounds you just fumble around, you're not really losing much of an advantage, just because it's a nice kind of slow pace at the start there. But yeah, no, I really like this game. It gets a good amount of play, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. Up next is a game in my collection that gets criminally underplayed, and that's Root. I really, really love this game. I've only played my physical copy of it 3 times. I bought this expansion like a month ago. I've opened it. I haven't even played with it yet, just because I haven't had a group to. This game, Marissa does play, but isn't super into because it's a little more not her style. I have played a lot of their mobile app, which I got forever ago, but I really, really love this game. I would rate this game a 10 out of 10, just because I love all the different mechanics. I love all the different factions. I love how all the interactions work. It's just such a good game. And I really wish I could play this more. And I do have a friend group who would play this, but again, I don't live near them anymore. And yeah, there's not really, outside of maybe Tabletop Sim, which gives me a headache if I play it too long, there's not many ways I'm going to be playing this game right now. But again, 10 out of 10, love this game, really hope to play it more. Up next is a game that gets a lot of play on my table, which is Planet. Which is a fun little game where you get to build a planet. I'm actually going to open this one and pull up the pieces to it because I just love these, and it's really a small game where you have, fun little globe things that are magnetic, so they all stick on there. And you're trying to attract different creatures to your planet based on how you build it. This game gets a lot of play just because Marissa really likes it. She always wins at it. I don't know how. I can't win at it, but she always does. But it's also really nice for when I have people over that aren't really into board games, but I want to get, playing a board game or get them into board games slowly. Planet is a game that is often on the table. But as a game, I would probably actually rate it like a 6 out of 10. It's not my favorite. I don't hate it. I will definitely play it again and again. But when it comes to board games I really want to play, it's not really up there just because it's kind of basic in my opinion, though I can't really say that as I've never actually won a game of it because my wife, who doesn't like board games and isn't as big into strategy as I am, always wins. Don't know how. She's just good at this game. And for some reason, I can't understand the 3D spatial of this game. So now I've got a game that I don't really play that much anymore. Star Munchkin. Back when I was in, middle school, one of my sisters originally got the normal version of Munchkin, and we played the crap out of it. We thought it was so funny. We played it all the time. When I got into high school, I bought Star Munchkin because I was like, I want a Munchkin of my own, but I don't want to get the same one that they have. So I went with Star Munchkin. It's pretty fun. I have not played it in a while. The last time I did play it was like a year ago, and I was like, this game's kind of fun, but it's not as fun as other games I want to play outside of just the funny names of things and watching people get crazy strong or getting stabbed in the back like crazy. I would rate this game probably 5.5 out of 10, if I'm being honest. It stays in my collection just because I do have some times where I'm like, that'd be a fun, easy game to play. But yeah, no, this game has been in my collection for so long, I don't think I'm going to ever get rid of it because it's just got so much play out of it, and anytime I'm with other friends, I'll play it. As well as, a game of Munchkin's not bad. I have a friend who's got SpongeBob Munchkin. We play that all the time. And I think another one of my friends has another one of the Munchkins because there's just too many versions of Munchkin out there. But yeah, I think I said 5.5 out of 10, and I'm going to stick to that. But let's move on. So next up is another kind of small game. It's Trails. I actually really, really like this game just because it's really beautiful. It's very simple. You're just moving a piece, doing some stuff, trying to make some objectives by collecting different things as the day goes by. Marissa and I got this when we got married. Somebody bought it for us. And I really do enjoy it. We played it on our honeymoon a little bit, and we played it a couple of times here and there. It's really simple, so we don't really play it that much, just because it's not super complex. But if we're ever just having a chill time, where we got some people over and we don't really want to play a more intense board game, we'll pull this one out. I would give it a 6.5 out of 10, because I do want to keep playing it, but it's not something that I go back to all the time. So now we have a game that has never been played that's in my collection. I've got a few of these. This is one of them. I believe I got this for a birthday or Christmas. I can't remember which, but a while ago because I was like, oh, you know what? This would just be kind of a cool game to have because I love its aesthetic. I watched the gameplay and I learned the gameplay, and I thought it was kind of fun how the mission control and astronaut stuff worked. Because I did learn to, you don't want to play with that many players, but I never even had a group that's wanted to play it yet. People have seen it. When people come over, also let them look at my shelf and be like, hey, is there anything you want to play? No one ever picks this one, which is unfortunate because I would like to give this game a play at some point so I can actually, have an opinion on it. So I'm not actually going to rate this one. I'm going to rate it. It's got a spaceship out of a spaceship because I have never played it, and there's a spaceship in it. Next up is Wingspan, which is a beautiful game. I love this game so much. I played it quite a bit. This is a game that Marissa will play, but she doesn't like it the most because there's a lot going on a lot of the time. When this game came out, I fell in love with it. I played it at a friend's house, and I was like, crap! I love the components, and no, I gotta add this to my collection. So I went out and got my own copy. I don't have any of the expansions for it, which is kind of sad. I did want the expansions, but that costs money. And while this game does get a lot of play, it doesn't get enough where I don't feel like these cards are enough. While there could be some mechanics, that are way better in some of the expansions or some cool cards or whatever, I don't personally need that because I don't play this game enough. But I do really love this game. I would give it an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 actually. And I have seen the new Wormspan. I really want to get that because that game is Wingspan but with dragons, and it just looks really fun. So maybe I'll get that in the future, but for right now, I'll just stick with Wingspan. So now we've got a game that I really enjoy. It hasn't had a ton of play. It has had a multiple bit of play. This is another game I got off Facebook Marketplace. I think I got this one for $25, which was a steal for it. But this is Merchants and Marauders, a game where you can, be a pirate or you can be selling goods pretty normally. It's got a board. You do pirate things. You each have your own ship. You can upgrade your ship. You got a captain. You can become hated by nations or not hated by nations. Different places can be at war, which cause things. It's just a really fun game. I would rate this 9 out of 10 just because I really like it. I love its complexity. I just don't have a group to play with it. As with most of these games, you're most likely going to hear me say, I don't really have a group that I can play with it. I have played it with a certain group, but that's a group that I only meet with once a week, and we normally just do some D&D or something because we're kind of playing a campaign right now, so we don't really do board games anymore. And this is a game I tried to teach Marissa once, and she does not want to touch. It's way too much for her, which is completely understandable. But I'm hoping to get some more play out of it eventually. But yeah, no, it's a real good game. So for this next little bit, it's going to be a bunch of smaller games, just because that's how my shelf's organized, is in this little center spot between stuff is smaller games. So we'll go some smaller games, and then the rest of them will be a bit larger games. But the first game I've got here is We Didn't Play Test This Legacies. I would rate this game as a game probably like 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. But as how much fun I've had with this, I would rate this like an 8 or 9 out of 10. Me and my friends have had a lot of fun with this game, especially in high school, which was probably the last time I played it once in college. But it's just a simple draw a card, play a card, do what it says on it kind of game with some fun legacy features where there's some bags in the box that you can only open if certain things are met, or if certain people win, then they can write stuff on cards or add stuff to cards, which is a pretty fun little mechanic. But again, I wouldn't rate it that high as a game, just because it's not really much of a game, but it is pretty fun, and me and my friends have had a lot of laughs with it. Next up is a game that Lake Munchkin has a ton of different versions of it. I have 2 versions. I've got Star Flux, and I couldn't find my Chemistry Flux, but I know I have Chemistry Flux as well. But Flux is a game where you're trying to meet a random objective that you can change by drawing a card and playing a card, which is real simple. I've had a lot of fun with this game. This is another game, though, that hasn't really had much play in the past few years. I played it a bit when I was in college because it was an easy game to have in my dorm and just take around with me. And if I'm like studying in a study room and I got some buddies coming up, I'm like, hey, I want to take a quick break and play some Star Flux, which could either end in 10 minutes or it could end in an hour and a half, depending on how the game goes. But it's always a good time. I would rate it, I don't know, pretty low though, like maybe a 6 out of 10. I enjoy it. I'd play it. It's like a 5 out of 10. I'd play it, but like it's not my go-to anymore. When I was in high school, we played this in my AP chemistry class once we were done with chemistry, along with another game, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But I've had a lot of good memories with this game, so it stays in my collection. So up next, I've got One Night Werewolf, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. This particular game has not had a ton of play in my collection. I have played somebody else's a bunch, and that's normally the one that our friend group used. I picked up a copy when I went to college, and I played it a couple of times with some people, but it really hasn't been played that much. I really do enjoy this game. Back in 2016, which was when I was in high school, when we played this type of game the most. I didn't get my copy till like 2018, and at that point we weren't really playing it that much because we also couldn't get a group together. And it's not everybody's favorite. I always like these hidden role games where you got to figure out who's who and kind of stuff. And One Night I just always thought was a very fun game. I would rate it probably like a 7 out of 10. I would love to play it again, but I just don't really have a group for it. So up next is The Crew, Quest for Planet 9. This game in my collection has not had a lot of play. I have played quite a bit of this game with the group that I currently play D&D with, not my sisters, but a different friend group that I play D&D with. And one of them has a copy, and we played it a bunch. I thought I'd just pick up my own copy just in case I'd ever have somebody who wants to play it. It's a trick-taking game, similar to like Euchre and stuff like that, but it's got some fun mechanics where you can't really communicate with each other, and you're trying to hit certain objectives and get certain people to win things without being able to tell them like what you have and stuff like that. All in all, I thought it was a really fun and unique cooperative game. I would rate it as a game probably like, I don't know, 9.5 out of 10. I do really want to play this game again. I just, as you've heard time and time again, I just don't really have a group for it right now. Up next is another game I've had since like high school, maybe a little bit before. I used to be obsessed with Back to the Future. I still kind of am. I think those movies are great, and I love them. And I love the DeLorean. DeLorean is my favorite car, which I will never own. But this is an old Back to the Future card game. I have not played this that much. When I first got it, I played it quite a bit, and I tried to convince people to play it. Not many people enjoyed it. I kind of enjoy it. It's kind of fun trying to set a timeline, which changes different events here and there as you change different things. But it's a pretty simple card game with some, basic mechanics. I would probably rate it like a 7 out of 10, maybe like 6.5 out of 10, just because I don't get this to the table like at all, and I have not played this game in over like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, no, I definitely would play this game again if I had somebody who'd want to play with me. Up next in kind of the smaller games is the Oregon Trail and its expansion, Hunt for Food. I've actually never played the expansion. It's been opened. I read through the manual. I know how to play it, but I've never played it, and I've had this for many years now. Oregon Trail I actually just played like 2 weeks ago from the recording of this video, which who knows when that'll be from when this actually gets posted, because it's going to take me forever to edit this. But I do enjoy this game. Some people I play with really love it. Some people really don't. But I've always had a good time playing it. And it's a game that I kind of want to play a little bit more, but it's not everybody likes it. I would rate this like a 7 out of 10. As with most of my games, they're going to be 7 out of 10s because I wouldn't have them in my collection unless I actually enjoyed them. Now I've got another small game that I really enjoyed. This is the other one I would play in AP Chemistry, Coup. I love this game. It's probably one of my favorite deception bluffing games where you have a couple of people who are your influence and you're trying to eliminate everybody else's by either throwing coups or assassinations, and you all have unique powers that you can lie about. But if you get caught lying, then you lose a card, yada yada yada. But I really enjoy this game. Even though it's only for 6 players, I've played it with 7 or 8. I can't remember. Just with some house rules on how to reshuffle in cards so that it doesn't get too stretched thin, because there are a limited amount of cards in this box. But it's really fun. I would rate this like an 8 out of 10, maybe an 8.5 out of 10, just because I really enjoy it. I've had a lot of fun with it. I have some friends who are really funny in it, and when we play it, it's always a blast. So up next is a game that actually Marissa got from one of my sisters as a birthday gift before we got married, I believe, or maybe it was it was before we got married. But it's Unstable Unicorns. It's pretty fun. It's just a really simple draw a card, play a card. Card does funny things. Cards have funny art kind of game. I enjoy it. It's just one of those games where it's like, I just want to have some stupid fun, and I don't really want to take anything too seriously kind of game. But yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I'd probably give it only like a 6.5 out of 10. But I would play it again, and Marissa actually really enjoys this game too, so that's why it also comes out onto the table quite a bit. Up next is a game called Trash Pandas. I picked this game up at Walmart because I saw it, and I was like, I love that box art cover, or that box cover art, and it was really cheap, and it was actually on sale for 50% off. It's a really simple push your luck game where you are trying to collect garbage as a raccoon. You're rolling a dice, and if you roll the same symbol twice in a turn, then you bust and your turn is done. Otherwise, you can use the symbols that you rolled to do certain actions. People can make you continue to roll, make you re-roll, and stuff like that based on cards they have. But all in all, it's a very simple game. I enjoy it. I'd rate it like a 7.5 out of 10 just because it's simple, it comes to the table often, and I it's just fun. Up next, I've got another game that's been in my collection for a while. It has a ton of play, Sushi Go. Simple set collection game where you each have a hand of cards, you draft a card out of it, then you pass the hand around. I really like this game taking it to conventions or different places like that where I'm going to be waiting in lines a lot. Because while it's a little tough to play while sitting or while walking in a line, it's pretty easy at a convention line because you're just sitting down, or if you just have a few seconds at a convention you want to play a game. I always like to play Sushi Go. As far as complexity, it's not complex at all, in my opinion. It's pretty simple. I would rate it like an 8 out of 10 just because I get a lot of play out of it, and it's just a fun little party game that I can take anywhere with me. But yeah, Marissa really likes this game too, so that's always a bonus. So next is a game that I quite enjoy, the Resistance and Resistance Avalon. I've actually never played my copy of Avalon. I have played a different person's copy of it before. My Resistance copy has been played a lot. I forgot about this game until I saw it again, but this game was another one that I played in AP Chemistry after we were done with the year quite a bit. I really like it. It's another one of those deception games that I really find fun. I was really good at this game. I just remember many times where we had some fun plays. Nowadays, there's probably better deception games than this one. And I especially know that there are because I've seen reviews for them and I really want them. But Resistance stays in my collection just for those occasions where somebody wants to play it. Just play a simple deception game. But yeah, I always had fun with it. I would give it probably actually like a 6 out of 10. Maybe a little lower, but I'm going to stick with a 6. Just because I would play it again. And I would love to play Avalon more because Avalon has some cool stuff in it that I haven't really played that much. So up next is a game in my collection that I really have not played and is really sad. It's Dice Masters, which is kind of like a collectible dice game versus a collectible card game. I really wish I got more into this. When I first got it, I thought it was super fun. And as with most of my games, I had 0 people to play with. Still do, so this just kind of sits on my shelf. I play it myself once in a while. I'll play by myself. As a game, I think the concept's really fun. I really like dice games. So I would probably rate this like an 8 out of 10. But as far as if I can get somebody to play this, it is a 0 out of 10 right now because I barely had this game played. So next is a game that I find is a neat little game for 2. It's called Patchwork. I got this because I wanted 2-player games for me and Marissa to play that aren't too tough. We've played this once, but I really enjoy it and we're going to play it more. But it's a neat little game where you have buttons as your kind of currency and you're trying to build a quilt, which are different pieces that you can take, and each piece takes a certain amount of time and buttons to produce. But buttons are also victory points at the end of the game. I just thought it was a neat little game. As far as gameplay, I would probably rate it at like an 8.5 out of 10. I quite enjoy this. It doesn't come out to the table like at all because Marissa and I haven't really been playing board games lately because she's not the biggest board game nerd like I am. But I'm going to try to get this game to the table more because I do think once she gets used to it, she'll enjoy it and it'll be a nice little game that we can play together. The next board game in my collection is one that was given to us on our wedding by the guy who actually did our wedding because he was a friend of mine, and we play board games all the time. But this is Pandemic. It's a fairly old now cooperative game, but a very good cooperative game. Marissa and I have only played it a couple of times just because it doesn't really come out to the table that much, but it's a neat little game where you're trying to go around and cure different diseases from different parts of the world before it spreads too far out of hand. You each get fun little abilities, and it's a game where you get to work together. But yeah, I'd rate this like probably like a 8 out of 10. I haven't played it a whole lot. I remember one of the times I played it was around Christmas time, back before me and Marissa together. I believe it was in high school at the time, when the power went out in our house on Christmas Eve, I want to say. So we just had a lamp that was hooked up to somebody's car, and then we had a space heater that my dad quickly bought from Menards, and we just kind of played board games all night to a simple lamp that had to be that the car had to be restarted every 15 minutes or else the light would go out or the car's battery would die. So it was a lot of fun in a nice cold room as we played Pandemic. So up next is a small game called Here to Slay, made by the same people who made Unstable Unicorns. I just really like their art style. The little anthropomorphic guys. This little guy in the back there is what really sold it for me. But I picked this up because I got it on sale at Walmart. And it's just a neat little game where you draw a card, play a card, and you're trying to get a certain amount of heroes to then beat the big monsters that are there. And then, it's one of those where you just got to collect a certain amount of them, and then the game is over. As far as the game, it's probably like a 4 out of 10. I've only played it a few times, and each time it was pretty fun. But also, it's one of those games like Munchkin and the other, and Munchkin and whichever one I mentioned earlier, Flux. That's what it is. Kind of, as well as Unstable Unicorns, that could either be a really quick game or it could take hours because there's so much that's going on, so many cards to remember. It's kind of way too much, but it's pretty fun still. Up next is a game that gets a decent amount of playtime, more than it should. It's called Train Heist. And either I played it wrong a few times, or this game is really friggin' difficult because me and my friends have died on the first like 6 turns of the game and lost multiple times. But it's a fun little game where you have a hand of cards and you're trying to get certain matches and sets because it allows you to do different things. Where you're trying to board a train, rob the train, drop off the goods to different stations. And its kind of gimmick is the train is going around the track. You can't really tell, but there's a little track on that board. The train's going around the track, and you can flip directions and stuff like that. But the train will speed up as the game progresses. But every time it passes a little town, if you didn't already put some goods in there for it to pick up, because it does pick those up and then get new goods on it, then you start to slowly lose the game, which can happen very quick if you don't know what you're doing. It's not like a super difficult game, but the randomness is difficult enough that it's frustrated some of my friends. Some of my friends will never play this game again, just because we had some bad rounds with it, and it made them very mad. I would rate this game 7 out of 10. Would play again just for those funny moments. And yeah, I think it's a decent game, but it's way too much playtime for how made it is. Up next is a game that gets a good amount of playtime. Marissa likes it. I like it. We've played it quite a bit. Takenoko. I've had this game since high school. I picked it up once I first saw it. I want to say I saw it on, what was that Will Wheaton thing? Tabletop Games, I want to say it was called on YouTube by Geek and Sundry. I think Will Wheaton hosted it. But it's just a cute little game about planting bamboo and eating bamboo, and you just lay tiles. It's a tile layer set collecting style of game where you're just trying to get achievements from different cards that you collect, which can be growing bamboo, eating bamboo, placing tile kind of thing. It's a fun little game. I really enjoy it. I've had this game for a long time, and it still gets playtime, so that's always a bonus. I would rate it, because I almost forgot, I would rate it like 7.5 out of 10. Up next is a decent game. It's Formula Day. This game has not had a ton of play, not as much as I think it should, just because I don't ever get enough players. Normally I get like 4 players, which is okay for this game, but the problem is as soon as somebody gets out in front, and other people are struggling to catch up, or generally it's 2 people that get out in front, the game kind of splits and it gets very boring, very fast for those people who are in last place. So I've had multiple people start playing it with me and then just be like, I'm never going to catch up, I quit. But it's a fun game where you get to race around a map. You get a cool little gear shifter that also has like your car's stats on it, and you got to take corners correctly, otherwise you get wear points. You got to make sure that you're driving decently, or else you get wear points. You don't want to wreck into people. It's got a fun nighttime map mode. Half the time when we're playing this, our only goal is to get all the way to 6th gear and roll the biggest freaking number possible. I really enjoy this game. I'd rate it an 8 out of 10. I want to find better racing games that more people will like, because I've heard that there are some good ones out there like Heat. I just haven't been able to pick up a copy of it. Formula Day I've had since probably like 2015, 2016, I want to say. I don't remember when I got it, but I know I got it when I was still in high school. Next is a game I really want to play more. This is Through the Ages, a new story of civilization. This game I learned about when me and a buddy of mine were on super late at night. I think we were on at like 1 a.m. or something. We're like, you want to play a board game? And then we hopped on Tabletop Simulator and for some reason decided to boot up this game, which we then proceeded to play for the next 2.5 hours. And then I loved it so much, or I was too tired and I didn't realize how much I truly liked it. So I bought a copy of it, or I didn't buy a copy of it. I got it as a gift because I was like, hey, if you want to give me a gift, this is a game I would really like. It's a kind of like card worker placement game thing that you build a civilization. I don't know. It's fun. I have only played my physical copy one time, so in total I've played this game twice, which is sad because I would love to play this game way more than that. But I really enjoy it. I would rate this game, this would be one of my 9.5 out of 10s, just because it's a really good game. I'd love to play it more. I love the strategy. I love the cards. I think it's super fun, and I just need to find people who want to play it with me. So here I have a game that gets quite a bit of play because it's super simple, and I have a lot of success with people who don't really play board games really enjoying this game. It's Reign, the Final Battle Royale. It's just a really simple Battle Royale game where you get to pick a faction of either Vikings, Super Soldier, robots, or I believe it's Samurai, or whatever it is. And you all get to be placed on a map that is slowly getting destroyed, and your goal is to be the last one standing. It's really simple. There's no cool special abilities or anything like that. Everybody does the same thing. It's basically just based on the size of your characters, what you get to add to your dice rolls, and it's really just, you end up next to somebody, you roll a dice, your number higher than their number, you win the fight, kind of deal. But it's pretty fun. It always ends in a fun little time right in the center there, or somebody just gets really screwed early with a piece leaving and they couldn't get all their people off of it. I just have really enjoyed this game. There are some multiple misprint errors on this board game with symbols not lining up and stuff like that, but it was a cheap game that I got on a good sale for like $10, and it's gotten a lot of playtime, so it's not too bad. Before I just stand up here and move, as far as a rating, I would rate this for gameplay 4 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10. For the amount of fun I've had with it, about an 8 out of 10. Next, we're going with Pictionary Air or whatever, Star Wars Edition. 1 out of 10. Never played it. I got it to work, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll play this sometime, and then never did. Cool concept. Don't really care for it. Up next, I got a nice cooperative game. The Captain is Dead, Dangerous Planet. My sister got this for me because she played a different Captain is Dead game. I was like, oh, this is super fun. Davis would really like that. So I want to get him that game, but I don't want to give him the exact same game that I played. So she got me this one. It's a fun little cooperative game where you're on a dangerous planet trying to go through caves and not die by bugs. You each get a fun little ability and are different crew members, and you're just trying not to die. As well as find the artifacts to get off this planet. But I really enjoy it. I would rate this game like an 8 out of 10. Real fun. I've brought it to the table multiple times, and every time people like it. So up next, we have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the wildest game in the wilderness. This is a game based on not really based on, but loosely based on the Disney attraction by the same name. The Big Thunder Mountain. My family's big Disney nerds, so that's why we ended up getting this game. I didn't think it was going to be anything special, and it really isn't anything special, but it is fun. I've played this game multiple times, and each time I've had a lot of fun. I think the mechanic of the ball rolling down and then having to go collect the different gold and how the hazards come out and stuff like that are all really unique and fun. And I've enjoyed it. I would only rate this game like a 6 out of 10. Because it's not like the game I want to play the most, but it is a pretty good game for just being probably like a little cash grab on nostalgia, calling it Big Thunder Mountain and all that. But yeah, overall, not a bad game. Now up next is a game that rightfully does not get a ton of playtime. This is Sid Meier's Civilization, the board game. And this game is a bit of a doozy. I got it because I had friends who loved Civ, and I really like weird, big strategy games with mechanics like this has. This just has way too many pieces. That's all I'm really going to say about it as far as why it isn't going to play get that much play. It just has way too many pieces and moving parts for my group to really play that often. I do have some friends who really enjoy this game. We don't see each other that often, so we never really get to play it because there's games that we would rather play instead of it. I would rate this game. This is probably one of the games I rate the lowest in my collection, and like a 4 out of 10, maybe even a 3 out of 10. Just because this game is a slog to get through, and it's a slog to set up. Like, setup takes so long. But I find it fun. I think it's kind of cool, but there's nothing really special about it because there are a lot of games that I'd rather play than this game. So now I've got Ticket to Ride New York Edition. So I do have normal Ticket to Ride and Ticket to Ride Europe, but I don't keep them in my collection anymore. I actually left them with my parents just because I don't really play it that much, and I told them they can keep it or sell it. Because after I played this version, I was like, this is really the only version I need. Ticket to Ride is a game I used to play a ton when I was younger, but I kind of overplayed it, and it's kind of gotten boring to me, where it just feels like Ticket to Ride takes too long. Whereas Ticket to Ride New York is a nice, quick version of the game, where it only takes like 10 to, I'd say, 30 minutes is the longest I've ever played this game. And I just like it because it's smaller, so it's more portable, especially since I don't have a group that I play board games with on the regular. I like to bring games that are kind of lighter to different places. And this, being a small version of Ticket to Ride, is just a lot of fun in my opinion. I would rate Ticket to Ride New York Edition probably like a 7 out of 10. The normal edition, I'd probably rate like a 6 or a 5, just because, again, I played it way too much, and it's not really my game anymore. So now we have another game in my collection that has been played 0 times with actual people. I played it myself, both with its, I think it is a one-player mode, if I remember correctly. Yeah, with its one-player mode, as well as just playing multiple characters. This game is Now or Never. I really enjoy this game. I actually really like it. And one of the other reasons I bought it is I play tested this game. So my name is technically in the manual, where it's actually not because there was a misprint. I played this game with a couple of buddies of mine, the guy who did our wedding, who I play board games with still, and a friend of mine whose name is also Davis, because my name is Davis, if you haven't picked that up from other videos or if I didn't say it this video yet. But they put his name in there twice instead of putting my name in there, which kind of was a little sad, but I was like, you know what, it's kind of funny that there's a misprint in there. So I bought it still, even though it has that misprint, because I play tested it. I actually really enjoyed this game when I play tested it, but my physical copy here has had 0 plays on it, which is a shame because I think that this is a pretty good board game. I would rate this board game like an 8 out of 10. And now we go to a game from a game that had like no play time in my collection to a game that has a ton of play time in my collection. It has Betrayal at House on the Hill. I had to look at it and slowly read that just to make sure I was getting it right. Something is off in this box. It looks like it all got jumbled. Oh, I remember it. I think it popped open in my car when I was transporting it one time. But this is a fun cooperative game that then turns into a game with a betrayer, potentially. Sometimes it's not a betrayer, sometimes it's still a cooperative. But I actually really enjoyed this game. I have the 2nd edition, but when we play online, we use the expansion. But for the physical game, my game has had the most play. I've always enjoyed it. I would rate this game like a 9 out of 10 just because of how much playtime we have out of it. I have friends who don't really want to play it anymore because we played it so much, even though we haven't gone through all the scenarios. But also, it's funny that there's a random chance of how you get the scenario, but we always tend to get the same scenario over and over and over again just because that's our luck. Which there is a rule where if you get the same scenario, you can pick a different scenario. But I really enjoy this game. I think it's a fun cooperative turning into a betrayer game. I always like that where nobody knows who the betrayer is until it's obvious who the betrayer is because the game tells you, oh, by the way, now this person's the betrayer. So I find that fun. And overall, I think this is just a good game. Up next is Axis and Allies. This is the 1941 version, which is the easy version because it's just really basic. I would rate this game like a 6 out of 10. It's just a war game. We haven't played it a whole lot, but I played it a bit. It's not bad, but nothing special to me. Up next is a game that both Marissa and I really like. This is HeroScape. I bought this. I think this is the Rise of the Valkyrie set, Master set. We originally played this game with Marissa's brother because he got a copy from some dude in California who likes to buy them and make sure that they're all in complete sets and resell them and do some upkeep on them. And after we played his set, I was like, oh, frick, this game is too cool not to try to find a copy on my own. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and found a guy selling it for $80, which is a good deal for a game that I can't find anywhere else and that normally goes for more. But we played this game, or we did play this game quite often. We haven't played it that much anymore just because it's a lot to get out, and half the time our table, which is that I'm at right now, is normally completely covered in stuff because we have a hard time cleaning. And that's also why I'm recording late at night, because we cleaned it this morning and I don't want to risk it getting dirty soon. But overall, I would rate this game at 10 out of 10. It's super fun. I love the mechanics. I love the characters. I love Mr. Chompy right there, who's just a dude riding a big dinosaur who can just easily one-shot characters. It's just such a good game, and we always have a fun time with it. We mainly play it with our brother. We've also talked about eventually doing a time where we put both of our sets together and make just a huge map and just like double the amount of people on the map, just to have a lot of fun with it. It's just such a good game, and I love games with this cool like interlocking system for building the map. I think the tiles are amazing. It's just a good game overall. So this is a game that I actually just played again recently. I convinced my friends to play it, even though some of them don't super like it, but I have a lot of fun with this game. It's Dead of Winter, which is a cooperative game with a potential betrayer. Okay, so my battery pack just died in the middle of that, but as I was saying, it's a game where you survive, trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. There's a hidden betrayer, which is always a fun mechanic. Sometimes this game can be really fun and easy. Other times it can be really tough and annoying. Sometimes it's just kind of middle of the road and kind of boring. But I always really enjoy it. It's a fun game. I would rate it like a 7.5 out of 10. I would love to play it more, and I just always have a fun time with it, even though one of my friends don't really like it. But since my battery just died and it almost has no charge left, I'm going to get through the rest of my board games later. So we're going to have a bit of, like, you guys won't see any time skip, but we're going to have a little bit of a time skip to tomorrow morning once I'm able to record more, as well as I have a few board games in my car I got to get out of there anyway. So see you guys in just a second with another board game. So we're on the next day, and now is a game. I'm wearing all the same clothes, but don't mind that. But now is a game that has a ton of play in my collection, the DC deck building game, as well as I also have the Teen Titans version, which hasn't seen as much play, just because the base DC deck building is pretty dang good. It has a lot of broken combos, and me and my friends always just love to break out because it's a really easy game to play. It's kind of brainless, and it's just a lot of fun. I would rate it like an 8 out of 10. Like I said, this is a game where if I'm with my friends and we just want to play a game real quick, we just pull out DC deck building because it's just real simple and real easy to play. Next up is a game that Marissa and I also got at our wedding, which is Villainous, which is another Disney game because, again, my family is huge Disney nerds, where you are playing as the villain. You have your own deck, you have your own people or heroes trying to stop you, and you all have your own agenda that you're trying to do while also trying to stop other people from getting their agenda done. I think this game is pretty fun. Marissa's not a huge fan of it. I'd rate it like a 7 out of 10. I also recently just got an expansion for it that I don't have on me. I think it's in my car somewhere. Where I think that one's the one that adds like Gaston, the Horn King, and whoever else. I forget who the third person is. But I find this game quite fun. I've only played it a few times, and the people thought it was pretty good that I played it with. But yeah, it's overall, I enjoy this game, and I hope it comes to my table a bit more this year. So next up is another Back to the Future game, Back to the Future Dice Through Time. This game hasn't had any play yet. This was given to me for a birthday because my parents know that I really like Back to the Future and DeLoreans and all that. It's honestly, I think, yeah, the stickers are still on there because the seal hasn't even been broken yet because I haven't even opened it really. But it looks like it's a little dice game, so I can't really rate it. I'm just going to give it DeLorean out of DeLorean because I have no clue how good it is, but I can assume it'll be okay. But yeah, I'm hoping to eventually play this. I just got to find some time to play it. Now up next is one of my favorite games. I'm going to rate this one right now 10 out of 10. It is Small World. This is another game that I found because of Tabletop, hosted by Will Wheaton on, I think it's Geek and Sundry. I forget what it is, but Small World has been one of my favorite games for years. It's one of the only games that I can consistently win at, which is funny. But I've played this game so many times. Anytime I can get an excuse to pull it out, I will, because it's my favorite just kind of strategy game, strategy kind of war game, I guess, in a sense. I do have some expansions for it. I forget which ones I actually have. I think I've got the Curse one and one other one, but they're all in here. But again, like, this is one of my favorite games. I'd rate it a 10 out of 10. I love the heck of it. I played the heck out of it. That's why the box is pretty damaged, because I bring this game everywhere with me to play anytime. So now I've got another game that I wish I'd play more. It's Star Wars X-Wing. I bought this right when it came out because I really like Star Wars, and I love the little miniatures. And when I saw the mechanics for it, I was like, you know what? I want to kind of get into miniatures games. So I went with this one. I do have a couple of expansions for it. I think if I just go in here, because it's... Oh, shoot, this is all a mess. But I have the B-Wing and the TIE Bomber are a couple of the other ones I bought or I've been gifted over the years. But as you can see, like, this box is a mess, and I haven't even punched everything out yet. I really enjoy it. I would rate this game like an 8 out of 10, just because I really like how it is, and I've always wanted to get into more miniatures games. As well as I've always wanted to get into painting miniatures, but that's a super expensive hobby that I'll probably never get into. I hope to get this game onto the table, but seeing as it's a combat game for 2 players, like most of the games that I have there for 2 players, Marissa's not super big into any of these more combat-y, tougher kind of games that she's got to learn. So they normally just sit on my shelf, but I'm hoping to find somebody to play this with eventually. So up next I've got Alien: Fate of the Nostromo. This game is a decent cooperative game. I actually got this because every year when Marissa and I go back for holidays to her families, we always try to bring a board game to play with her brother because he likes board games, we like board games, and it's always fun. But one time, I forgot to bring a board game with me. So real quick, Marissa and I ran out to Target and looked at what was on sale. This game was on sale, and I was like, you know what? It's an Alien game. Alien's pretty cool. Let's see how bad it is, because it's really basic cooperative game, and I actually had a bit of fun with it. It was a little not great, but I would probably rate it a 5 out of 10. I would play it again, but right now it just kind of sits on my shelf because most of my games sit on my shelf because I've played them, and I just like the story of how I got them, or I just don't really feel like trying to get rid of them. But I'll keep this game for a while. Maybe I'll eventually try to get rid of it, but overall it's not too bad. So now we've got a big game of mine. This is another 10 out of 10 for me. This is Alone. I freaking love this game. I've only played it 3 times probably. But this game really scratched an itch for me that I didn't know I had. I really like its mechanics. The game is for 2 to 4 players, but really, in my opinion, it's for 2 to 3. Because having more than 2 masterminds trying to do the evil stuff, I found has not been as fun for the masterminds. But as far as the person who's on their own, this game is always good. And I just have not had a bad time playing it, and I wish I could play it a lot more, but seeing as it's at that lower player count, it's hard to get onto the table because unless I am only having like 1 or 2 people over, it's not really coming out. But fun story with my copy though, and I could have returned it to the store I got, but when I bought this, it was missing all of the cards. I attempted to try and see if the manufacturer or anything had some that they could send me, or like see if I could get some backup pieces for it. Unfortunately, I could not because they were no longer printing it. They sent me to a couple different distributors. They didn't have anything lying around, unfortunately. So I ended up printing out all of my own cards. So every card in here is made by me. If I just get through the box here. Ugh. Wow, I did not put this game back well, but if you look, like, this is one of the cards. It has no back because I decided to print it, and as you can see, I laminated it just to keep it nice. It took me a long time to find and print all of the cards for it, but, you know, it works well. The store that sold it to me gave me a little bit of a discount after I told them that. And I could have just returned it, but I was like, you know what? I kind of like having a copy that's kind of a misprint where I had to make my own cards, and it's a fun story to tell to get people to play the game. And again, this is a game I wish I could play more, and I do have a group for it. I think my group would really enjoy it, but the problem is the only times that we get together is when there's like 4 or more of us, so we end up playing different games instead. Okay, so now I've got a game that I really like as well. It's another cooperative game for 1 to 8 players. I normally play this with 4 or 5 players. I have played it with 6 a couple of times. This is Arkham Horror. I forget what edition this is, but it's an older one. This game suffers from the same as some other Fantasy Flight games where it has so many pieces and parts and cards. But this one I really love. I've never had a bad time playing it. Even when we get absolutely destroyed, we've always had fun. We always come up with funny bits and different things and kind of get into the game a little bit. I normally end up losing a character like 2 or 3 times during a single game. But I really, really like this game. I would rate this game a 9 out of 10. It's not a perfect 10 out of 10 for me because just those times where it either gets boring or way too tough and you spend so long just to lose everything in the end kind of make it a little tough for me to give it a 10 out of 10. But I do really enjoy this game. Again, solid 9 out of 10. Would play anytime anybody asks me. Here's another big 2-player game that I absolutely love, but doesn't get enough playtime because I don't just have one person that I can get together with and play games, which is a shame for me. But this is Star Wars Rebellion. Me and my sister got this game at a convention, and we used to play the crap out of it because when she lived near me, we would get together once or twice a week and just play a board game. We love playing this one. We have the Rogue One expansion, which greatly improves how this game plays, in my opinion. It makes combat way more fun, and it just adds some neat little features to it. I really enjoy this game. I would rate this a 10 out of 10. I do really want, what is it? It's the Lord of the Rings, War for the Ring, I believe it is, because I heard that that's a way better version of this game. Well, not version of this game, but like a way better game like this one. And I do agree it does look way cooler and way better, and I love how big the map is, and I love all the little figures, and I love these types of 2-player games. I just need people to play with. That's why I haven't bought War of the Ring, is because it's very expensive, and I've got no one to play it with. Continuing with more Fantasy Flight games, I have the Star Wars, the card game, the living card game. I bought this right when it came out because I was really into card games at the time. I was like, you know what, this looks pretty fun, and I think it was pretty fun for the time. I just didn't have a group to play it with or people to play with. I also got the Edge of Darkness expansion, which has some real fun stuff in it. This game wasn't really super special to me. I feel like there was better card games, and especially living card games out there. I never ended up playing any other ones, unfortunately, but I've heard of a bunch of good ones. I would rate this game like a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, probably 6 out of 10. I would play it again, but I just don't have a group for it, and it's not really my cup of tea. Next is the Hogwarts Harry Potter cooperative deck building game. I never played this game, and probably never will. I got it right when it came out, along with its expansion, and literally have not touched it, so I can't give a rating. We're just going to give it a 0 out of 0 for never having played it. So the last game in my collection is Twilight Imperium. This game is a 15 out of 10, 20 out of 10 for me. I freaking love Twilight Imperium. I personally have 3rd edition, which has seen a lot of play. One of my buddies actually got 4th edition, so normally when we all get together to play, we play his copy, but we at least play Twilight Imperium once a year. We try to get at least 2 or 3 times a year in. But this is one of my favorite kind of grand strategy games. What is it, like Quadruple X game. I super enjoy Twilight Imperium. I've had many fun memories. I don't have any expansions for 3rd edition, and the reason for that is not too long after we started playing my copy, we probably got 2 or 3 years using my 3rd edition before we got 4th edition. And since 4th edition had, stuff from the expansions from 3rd edition in it already as a base game, we just continued to play 4th edition. I never thought of buying the expansions because that's extra money that I don't have, but I love Twilight Imperium. I'm so happy it's in my collection. This will stay in my collection forever, even if it never gets played, just because I love this game. As you can see, the box is pretty badly beaten, which makes me really sad because I really wish it wasn't. And I wish I could kept better care of this box, but it's just traveled so many times and it's such a big box, it's hard for it not to get damaged. But yeah, that's the last game in my collection. I will keep most of these games for a while. I think after doing this video, I realized some of these games I'm probably going to sell. But maybe I'll do another one of these in like a year or so, just if my collection changes significantly or not. But yeah, no. In the comments, write down what your favorite game of mine is, as well as what your favorite game is. And if you want to see more board gaming content, maybe I'll get into some more board gaming content as we go. But for now, this has been the video, and thank you for watching.